Okay, so now where am I going? Right here, I'm presenting. Okay, welcome to Thursday. And if this block is anything like last block, half of you are going to be looking at me going, I have never seen this before in my life, or if I have, it was completely erased from my memory by aliens. And with that information, I can promise you that tomorrow I will do a little background information and provide you with a couple videos that you can watch if tomorrow still doesn't do it for you. All right? Because what I'm going to be reviewing today happened right at the end of last school year if you took honor stats in spring. So you may have, it just might not be there. Because while we did take a homework assignment, we did not give you any test or quiz on it. All right, please let me know if you have any questions. Are there any questions on the worksheet page 12 with the college students in the final exam? Anyone? I do want to see this information, notation, the two numbers you're multiplying, and you should always keep every single digit on the tree, which is the case in the next one, especially, because there's a lot of digits in the cancer one. And the reason I gave you one with so many digits is because this is more like realistic as to what actually happens in medical studies. So the first split is always the people who either have the condition or not. And then we branch off into the positive and negative test results. You got to keep all of those decimal pieces parts, because if you round right now, you'll be getting some zeros where you should not be getting some zeros. I need to get one of those hiker backpack things with the water, because then I can just like put the tube right here under my mask and take a sip whenever I need to. All right. This page 15 is extremely important to your near future. Hint, nudge, wink. All right? So please ask me some questions if you do not understand something on page 15. Yes?
I was just wondering if we had to write in all the decimal values for each one.
Like this ending?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
That's why I put the thing in red.
Oh, I see.
Yep. And I don't even care if you write all this in, but at least get it started and put it all into your calculator. And the reason that's important is like for this last one, if you don't use all the decimal pieces parts, you would say 0, and you would think nobody is missed with ovarian cancer, but that's not really the case. Who knows what this is telling me? How many women get missed, basically, in the long run? What is that 0.00000063? Approximately 6 out of what? Tenths, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions? Approximately 6 out of 1 million women will get tested for ovarian cancer and be told they don't have it when they actually do. And that's pretty slim, isn't it? If Adam and Eve hadn't have eaten the apple, the answer would be 0. But the fact that it's only 6 out of 1 million is pretty good unless you're one of those 6. Does that mean if 1 million women are tested, that exactly 6 every single time will have a misdiagnosis? It means if millions and millions and millions of women are tested, in the long run, it would be whatever 6 out of a million is in percentages, so it would be 0.0006%. You know, because our world now has sin thanks to Adam and Eve. Just kidding, sort of. All right, did you guys agree with me that the false negative is the worst? Because then you might not get treatment, and the cancer might spread, or even worse. Was cancer a thing like 100 to 200 years ago? Probably, but people didn't live long enough for the cancer to actually, because some cancers take a long, long time. My dad has a couple like big brown spots on his back that are probably skin cancer, but the doctors are like, yeah, this would take like another 15 years to affect him, and he's 93. So why are we going to do anything about it right now if it's not going to bother him? Maybe because his sister's turning 104 in 3 weeks. Oh. Yep, Aunt Betty's going to be 104. And you know what I need to do? And I need to write this down. She graduated from Hiram College. Don't you think Hiram College would want to know they still have an alumni that's 104 alive? And do you know who else graduated from Hiram? Michael Stanley. Does anybody know who Michael Stanley is? MSB band? Some of you have to have parents that listen to the Michael Stanley band. He sings the song Lover. Thank God for the man who put the white lines on the highway. Maybe what you're going to do when the fire is through and you find out he's out looking for somebody new because you did everything you wanted him to do. And now you're all alone and crying. Aren't you, lover? Nobody's ever heard of that? Your parents have. I bet you have too. What else does he sing? He can't love you like I love you. He can't love you like I love you. No? Working for the weekend? How, I bet your parents are the same age as me. Tell them, hey, we'll have to get together. And I actually heard Michael Stanley at the Northfield Park, which is now the casino. What's it called? Huh? Racino. Yeah, because they have concerts. And I heard him there a couple years ago. All right. MSB Lover. You guys have heard, I know, and this is, oh, I don't know that we want to watch the video. Here, we'll watch this one. Tell me if you heard this. Yes, and it's being recorded for all the world to hear that I'm playing Lover in the middle of a math class. Maybe. Anybody hear this before? Kelsey and I can sing all the words. Will the cold stars and thousand stars like the cold Ohio night, and the turnpike slip, the snows as thick as deep. Okay. Just make anybody else but me. Could you love us? What you want to go through that way? Couldn't you just listen to that all day long? Has anybody heard that song before? I know you have. That was the age of like the saxophone interludes, and that's why I like the saxophone so much. And I played the saxophone in high school. And your parents would love this joke. Where'd I put it? Where'd I put the joke? Oh, this one. You got to take a picture of this for them because they will think this is hysterical. Oreo Speedwagon. If you're wondering where I got this Oreo Speedwagon joke, I heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend. Does anybody know the song? Heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from another. You've been messing around. Dun, dun, dun. I know the neighborhood. Talk is cheap when the story is good. Okay, she unlike the tough guys. That was one of my favorites. I think this is it. We'll be done with this in just a minute. Heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from another. You've been messing around. Now, don't I sound just like them? They're talking about you and it's bringing you down. But I know the neighborhood. And talk is cheap when the story is good. And the tales go farther on down the line. Okay. Now, last night while I was grading your homeworks, I was listening to the 70s. Has anybody ever heard Kung Fu Fighting? Now that's a good song. Yeah. Why don't we play it? Not right now. We will play it later. I will use that as a carrot to hang out in front of your face. Any questions at all on this? Okay, make sure those two get uploaded with pictures. And I'm going to check now. I know Rourke's mom has heard that. Because I don't know if you know this or not, Rourke. Let me know if you know this. Do you know that my sister and your mother were in the same sorority at college? Like at the same time at the same college? Yeah, well, they were. Roberta Davis and Katie Berger were in the same sorority at Westminster College. Woohoo! Did your dad go to Westminster? Did he play ball there? Basketball? No. Did you know that Alan Wood's dad went there? Okay. And my other sister knew Alan Wood's father. Okay. Not that anybody cares, but. All right, so what problems, okay? That's good. There were 9 problems, and everybody pretty much got at least half. B, 3 and 8. 3 and 8 are the most missed. Probably a couple others too. 1's pretty good shape. 2 is not as great. 3 is awful. 4 is okay. 5 is excellent. 6 is okay. 7 is all right. 8 is not good. 9's pretty good. So we definitely need to look at 3 and 8 and then see if anybody else has any other questions. Okay. 3 is a question that we will discuss in great detail next week, but I'm going to go over it really quickly right now. In last block, we figured out that while in America, the probability that you have O negative blood is 0.072, do you know that different ethnicities of people have higher than that? Like our blood types aren't all evenly distributed across the world. And there's books out like you'll be happier and healthier if you eat your blood type, which doesn't mean for you to eat blood. It means that my blood is A+ blood, just saying. And my husband says, well, of course it is. We dated in high school, and then we went to different colleges, but still dated most of the time. And he would ask me, "Oh, so how did your test go in whatever class in college?" And he'd say, "You got an A++, sticker smiley face, didn't you, Tammy?" And I'd be like, "Just shut up." Yes, I did get an A++ sticker smiley face. Take that. The only B I got in the last 5 semesters of college was in physical conditioning for life. Because I couldn't run a mile in 8 minutes. Dang! So my second semester, sophomore year, all junior year, all senior year, I got A's in all my college courses except for physical conditioning for life. And the reason for that is because God did not build this body for distance, because he gave me the fastest pulse in the world. My resting pulse rate is like 92. And now I know. I didn't know in high school why I was just awful at distance. I was pretty good at sprinting. I could run the 100-meter okay. I could run the hurdles really good. Even though I'm vertically challenged, I could do the hurdles all right. But anything longer than a quarter, it was just like somebody punched the wind right out of me and I was dead. Well, that's why. If you start out at 92, there's not a whole lot of room to go before you totally get tired. Lance Armstrong's resting pulse rate, he's the guy that won all the Tour de France's. But then, yeah, he had won some of them illegally. Guess what his resting pulse rate was?
Like 30.
Yeah, it's like 30-something. I'm like, what is that? Are you breathing? Any tennis players in here? Bjorn Borg, do you know who he was? Way back in the day, his resting pulse rate was in the 40s. That's why he never got tired out playing tennis. His other opponents would be like, ooh, and he still was going, because people like that, they exercise for a while and their heart rate gets up to the 60s. Woohoo! Meanwhile, I start all worn out. No wonder I need like lots and lots of sleep and I'm not getting. Okay, back to this. And I can take that back from you. Oh, thank you. Okay. So if that's the probability you have type O blood, and did I tell you who has the highest rate of O negative blood? South Korea is what Mr. Gaskins looked up for us. South Korean people have the highest rate. What is that rate? I don't know. I forgot to ask them. Okay. The easiest way to do an at least problem is to do 1 minus none. Because trying to figure out one person having it out of the 10 and then how many different ways can 2 and 3, it's a nightmare, and we'll discuss that next week. So this is 1 minus 0.928 to the 10th power. Because if this is the probability you have it, the probability you are not O negative is 1 minus 0.072, which is 0.928. So get 10 people in that don't have it. If you do that in your calculator, you get 0.526 something. So those of you who got that answer, is that what you eventually ended up doing? Anybody get it in here? Somebody did. Is that what you ended up doing, sort of?
I subtracted the ones that it had, not the none.
Okay.
I did it the opposite way.
Okay, good. All right, down to numero 8. Not that. Here we are. Okay, 8. Basically, this right here, if AUB is the whole sample space, basically that means instead of having this drawing with something out here, we have this drawing. Here's A and here's B. And that's all we have if there's no overlap. If there's an overlap, then maybe we have like, this is A and B. But I don't know that yet until I read a little bit more. So there's nothing outside of A and B. You're either A or B or both. It can't be anything else. Which I would say is kind of like gender, but that doesn't really qualify anymore. So it's kind of like heads or tails, but you can't be both, so that doesn't work. Isn't it frogs that can change their gender? Some animal can. All right, I got nothing. All right, so it says A and not B is 25%. So we have three sections here. Section 1, Section 2, Section 3. So where is A and not B? Is it Section 1, 2, or 3? And I'm asking Val.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. A and not B is 0.25. Is that Section 1, 2, or 3?
That's section 3. No. What? I'm very confused by your drawing. I drew a tree diagram.
Oh. Okay. Well, A is this part and the overlap. B is this part and the overlap. I want to know where is A, but you're not part of B.
Number 1.
Yep. So this is 0.25 right here. Very good. And then where is not A? That's 0.35. So Joe Tursick. Where is not A? Is it section 1, 2, or 3, or a combination thereof?
It's just number 3.
Yep, so that's 0.35. So what does the overlap have to be if there's nothing besides A or B or both? Well, we got 25 cents and 35 cents. That makes 60. So what does the overlap have to be? 40? Okay, and now it asks, what's the probability you're in B? Well, B is all of this and all of that. B is all of this. So that would add up to 0.75. And that is not the way that Val did it. So what did you do?
I drew a little tree diagram.
Okay, so you did this?
Yeah. And then I did 0.65 on the top one, and then 0.35 on the one below.
And why did you do that?
To add to 1. Right? Yeah.
Okay, so this down here is the A and B naught. Right?
That's
No,
A
that's
naught.
B.
I had A on the top and then A naught for the second one.
Okay.
And then I did little arms from the 0.65 so that the top arm was B and then the bottom was not B. And then I
Okay.
put for A and not B, so on the bottom 0.25.
So this had to be 0.75.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. So she was given this. She knew that not A was 0.35, right? So A, that's where she got the 65. And then she said, okay, well, A and not B, that would be the bottom branch right here. That's 0.25. And that's how she got the B with 7. I like that. I have never seen that done before, but that is very good. And Mrs. Garrett, it's less confusing than your drawing. Why isn't Val teaching that? Well, I don't know. We'll make her do it next time. Okay. Any other questions on the multiple choice? Yes.
4 and 7.
4 and 7. Here we go. Here's 4. Okay. Choose a violent death in this table. Well, first you have to make sure you add up everything, right? So I'd have to get all the totals here. Do you happen to have those for us, Miss Alexis? Does anybody have those on their paper? Did anybody add those all up? Thank you, Val. Go
The
ahead.
total is 13 and then 13,999 for all of the deaths. And then, wait, no, for the male? No, for all of them. Yeah, for all of them.
Okay.
And then the male one is 11,479.
Okay. And do you have any of the others? You don't really need that. Okay. Choose a violent death. So 13,999 is in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
The probability that they're male is 11499. So you kind of had to do the totals. And it is a known fact that more men than women commit suicide. And if you're a male committing suicide, you make sure it takes. Like you shoot yourself or you hang yourself. If you're a female, what's the method of suicidal choice for females usually? Anybody know? Yep, you overdose on drugs. Which, if somebody finds you in time, can be reversed. So, the irony in this is that more females attempt to commit suicide, but when males attempt, they're more successful. That might not be a really good thing to be proud of if you're male. If I decide it's time to quit, it's going to happen, but if females decide it's time to quit, it doesn't usually happen. Now,
I don't know if it matters much, but it's 1.479.
oh, 479? Yeah, that would matter. So did you do that, but just get something added wrong, maybe? Oh, okay. All right. And then number 7? Number 7 is you have to know how to read the word among. The proportion of suicides among violent deaths of women. So that means given that the woman had a violent death, what's the chance it was suicide? So that would be the probability of suicide given that it was a violent death. Or, yeah, given that it was a woman. Because I think A is women. Let A be the event that the violent death was a woman. So given that the woman died, what's the chance it was suicide? It would be that notation. So among is a fancy way of saying given. Did that work out yet? No? I don't know what it adds up to. All right. So let's just see real quickly. I had it somewhere probably, but if we do 1818 plus 457 plus 345, I get 2620. And if I do 6457 plus 2870 plus 2152, I get 11479, what she said. And if I add that to 2620, I get 14,099.
Oh, the bottom.
I was right.
I was wrong. I apologize. Joey was right.
Well, Joey, bask in that victory as long as you can, hon. Because it might be coming to an end more quickly than you want it to. Oh, wait. Oh, by the way, I ordered 300 of these bad boys. They're coming in tomorrow. So if anybody needs a nose metal band, they will be right here. You can even take them for other people. If there's somebody you sit beside in another class, you can say, put that in your mask, thank you. That's what a couple people did last block yesterday. Like, can I take a couple of those for people in my other classes? I'm like, please. They do work really well. It doesn't work, like I put something really soft in the inside of this mask because most of my masks I've made myself. I'll show you. The problem with it is it's too thick and I can hardly breathe. Which isn't good if your pulse is already fast. But I figure if I can't breathe hardly, then I'm not breathing your stuff in. And you're not breathing much of my stuff in because it's all in my mask. Have you ever gone to sniff something with your mask on? Or like blow out a candle, you're like, oh, yeah. All right, okay. So, any other questions, anybody? We've done 4 of the 9, 5 of the 9. All right, please turn to page 16.
They will.
Page 16. I don't think he had any other hits.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning.
In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
But it fought with expert timing. There was no Chinaman.
I know, it's politically incorrect.
They were taking them down. It's an ancient Chinese art. And everybody needs their part.
The best part of the song's coming up, though. Oh.
But the country can't stop timing. And little Sammy John, he said, here comes the big boss. Let's get it on. He took the ball and made a stand. Started swinging with the hand.
The end's good when they put all the huff and wax in. See what you missed not growing up when I did? I gotta tell you, those were the days. All right. Now we're going to camcorders, which really don't exist anymore because we all have one in our phone. But my dad actually used to take all kinds of film on, like the old reel-to-reel things. Do your grandparents, did you ever sit down and like watch an old movie, an old family movie? Yeah, on video. All right, we had that too. But before video, there was this reel-to-reel stuff. And we still have tons of it, and I'm going to have my dad spend $400 on a machine that will convert it. Because he kind of needs a hobby, and he needs to get rid of his money before the government takes it all if he needs care in the nursing home. Because they just take it all. Yep. All right. So, not that they shouldn't. It costs a lot of money. Okay, let's label this camcorder sales. Does everybody know what a camcorder is? That's my real question. It's a camera that takes video. All right. Over here is going to be either probability or relative frequency because it's in percentages. And down below is going to be number of units sold in a day. And technically this is the discrete world. You can move your desk, dude. Or you can set your Chromebook up right in front of your nose. Okay. All right, so 0 camcorders. So this would be a place like Best Buy. We used to have places called Circuit City. Walmart probably still sells some. Maybe, I don't even know. Target. Okay, so no camcorders sold on a day happen 45% of the time. And one camcorder happened 20% of the time. And technically, there really should be a space because you can't sell half of a camcorder, but 17%, we sold 2. 11 happened three camcorders happened 11% of the days. 4 camcorders happened on 5% of the days. That would probably be right before Christmas. And 5 camcorders, that would be like the day right after Christmas when they're on sale. Okay. Can you call this skewed to the right? Yeah, you can, sort of. It is skewed to the right. All right, so that's not so hard to deal with. This next part I think you'll be pretty good at too. Next question. What is the probability that X is greater than 2 camcorders? So who is going to answer that for me? Alexa, back in the back. What do I do to find this?
Add up the probabilities for 3 points.
Yep, there's 3, there's 4, and there's 5. And that adds up to 0.18, I believe. 11, 5, and 2%. All right, what if I want to do X is greater than or equal to 2? Rourke, you've been selected. What do I have to do for this one?
0.17 plus 0.11 plus 0.05 plus 0.02.
Right, well, so I can just take my total from the last one, right?
Yeah.
So that's 35%. Now, if you already know the answer to this next part, then you've been probably taught this before. Why is X greater than 2 not equal to X is greater than or equal to 2? Because in the discrete world, we can find the probability that X equals 2, which is, in this case, 17%. But if it's the continuous world, those are the same. This is where your memory should be sparked, and if it isn't sparked, then you never got told this before, or at least you don't remember. So in the continuous world, which is, has an L, like a normal curve, if I wanted to find, like we did yesterday, the probability that y is greater than 120, that's identical to the probability that y is greater than or equal to 120, because the probability that y is exactly equal to 120 is 0, because the area of a line segment is 0. You can't find the area of a line, it's single dimensional. So do you have any memory of that? Like, was that like, oh yeah? Okay, how many people have no memory? How many people just took honor stat last semester? You better not be raising your hand if you had your hand up first, because we just finished with this a month ago. How many people took honor stat last spring? All right, well, then you may not have watched the video of this, because I can go show you where it is. But I'm not casting any blame. It doesn't matter now. We're here. So on tomorrow, I'm going to put a little bit of a lesson together to remind you about this kind of stuff. Because what's coming next on here, you're going to be like, I've never seen this before in my life. If you don't understand, I mean, you can understand this, but if you've never seen this before, you've never seen what's coming next. So this is area of line 0. Okay. So again, for the part C and part D, you are not going to perhaps remember this, and that's okay until tomorrow. So here we go. What does expected value mean? It means you're finding the mean. So make sure you underline that word because that word is in your homework tonight. And I still think you can try your homework even if you've never seen this before. So here's how you find expected value. And some of you have a little program in your calculator that will do this for you. You're not allowed to use it right now. For these two problems, you're not allowed to use program EXV. Tomorrow, you'll be allowed to use it again. So I called this the top times the bottom dance, because to find the average, you do the top times the bottom. Plus the top times the bottom, plus the next top times the next bottom, plus the top times the bottom, plus the top times the bottom. So the same people that said, I've never seen that conditional being 0 before should be feeling like I've never seen this before, right? Is that right?
This seems really.
Okay. All right, well, that's good. I can actually do this in my head. Look at me go. 0 plus 0.2 plus 0.34 plus 0.33 plus 0.20 plus 0.10. And I'm feeling confident. When I first started teaching, I never did this because I was too nervous I'd make a mistake. And to be honest, right now, after, it's year 30.5, I don't really care if I make a mistake because you better catch me. That's your job. So it's 0.54 plus 0.33 is 0.87 plus 0.20 is 0.107 plus 10 cents is 117. This all adds up to 1.17 camcorders. And now the interpret sentence. Because it does say to interpret it in context. Yes. If. What's coming next? How many manys? Too many manys. If many. Now here is where some of you have a big problem. I'm not selecting camcorders. X represents how many camcorders are what? Sold on a given day. So if many sales days are selected how? Randomly. If many sales days, or days of sale, whatever you want. When the place is open and they're selling camcorders. If many sales days are randomly selected, or you can say selected randomly, I don't care what order you put that in. So that's really important. And so is the many. Do you really have to write many twice? Yep. Just look in your book. That's how they do it. And that means that you are telling everybody that you understand that it's a whole lot. It's not a cross-country race. It's not even a marathon. It's more like that 100 miles that you go, like you run for a whole day or something like Rick tried to do. He almost made it. I bet he's doing any good this year. Does anybody know? Is Kirk training for that 100-mile race?
He is.
Is he? Like, who in their right mind wants to do that? I'm just going to keep running for 24 hours. That's what I want to do. Obviously, I don't want to because I'd be done after 10 minutes. All right. If many sales days are randomly selected, the average number of camcorders sold in a day is 1.17 units. Or machines or camcorders, whatever you want to say. So I have underlined the important words there. Many randomly selected and average. Which also means the word mean. And just so you know, in statistics class, whenever you see the word average, it only means mean. But when you see that word out there in the real world, whenever they say it averages, it could mean they're talking about the median, or the mode, or the mean. That's one way you should coin this term, fake statistics. Yep. We've learned a lot about fake news and fake statistics this year. All right. Now, part of what we're going to do tomorrow is go back to when I first, to chapter 1, when we first taught you how to find standard deviation. Standard deviation is the standard amount you deviate from something, and in this case, it's from the what? What am I worried about deviating from? Anybody? I think somebody's whispering it. The mean. Now, if I was doing least squared regression, the standard deviation would be how far I deviate from the what? The line, right? So, standard deviation is how much I deviate from that mean of 1.17, and what does the word deviate mean to do mathematically speaking? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. What is it? What does deviate mean? Yeah, subtract. So that's what we're going to do. But then does anybody remember that if you just subtract, everything's going to add up to 0? Is that ringing a little tiny bell? Thank you. Parker's saying yes. Some of you are like, no. You're like, whoosh. We'll take care of it tomorrow. So then I have two choices. I can either do the absolute value to get rid of the positives and negatives, or I can square it, and we choose squaring, because squaring allows you to do stuff with the variances, and you'll remember. I'll cram it down your throat sometime soon. Okay, so we're actually going after the variance first, and what we do is we take how much does no camcorders differ from an average squared times its probability, plus how much does one deviate times its probability. And yes, I want you to write this whole freaking thing out. Just do it. And then we're all going to put it in our calculators. And if you don't have a calculator, I will gift you one to borrow right now. So I want to know what that equals, and it's 1 point something. Who needs to borrow a calculator because they just didn't feel like picking theirs up and bringing it to class today? I do. I got 2 chargers right here. And look at this. It almost reaches the whole way over to where you're sitting. Anybody need one? Seriously, because I'm coming around to see that you've done this and put this in your calculator and can get the right answer. Look at you guys. There's only 10 people in first block, and 20% of them didn't have their calculator. Seriously, though, you're always welcome to borrow one of these for the class period. And if you need to charge yours, I got 2 chargers right up here. When you're done typing that in, let me see it before you square root it. And I'll tell you if you are successful. Sadly, this is a skill that we're not all that successful with. Nice, good job. I'll be right there. Good. Excellent. How come she got an excellent? Will only got a good. Excellent. I'll give everybody an excellent now. Excellent, Will. Excellent. Excellent. What are you gonna say if we don't get it? Terrible, you filthy, no. Excellent. 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 Okay. Oh no. Should be 1.8 something, something, something. That's a 2. 4. Something's wrong, we're gonna find it.
Almost forgot to split.
It works best if you put the whole string in. All right, it appears like everything is okay, but it isn't. So where the heck did she make her mistake? This drives me nuts when I can't see it right away. 105. Oh, you didn't have a plus sign in here. There you go. Now it's okay. Did everybody get it? Good job. It should be 1.8011. But we're not finished yet. We want the standard deviation, not the variance. So we have to take the square root of that. And when you do that, you get 3 something. Let me go look. 1.342. Okay. So tomorrow, I'm going to gift you all a program, courtesy of Mr. Robert Sunderhalf, that does this. If you put all the X's in list 1 and all your probabilities in list 2, then you can go to program EXV. It asks you, hey, where'd you put the X values? Did you put them in L1 like I expected? So you say second 1, yep, they're in L1. Where'd you put the probabilities? Second 2, enter, boom, boom, boom. Well, how come we can't use that? Well, because the AP people expect you to be able to do what's up here in blue. And so do I. You always have to write out all of them like that? No, but I'll tell you, one thing about the AP statistics test is while they're supposedly a not-for-profit organization, did you know that? The College Board is not-for-profit. EST is for profit. That's their sister business that they developed that grades all your tests in case people like me to go grade it. But College Board itself is a not-for-profit. So like all businesses, they want to mainstream their stuff, and they would never give you a string of 6 things like that on an AP test. There's too much room for error. They might give you one that has 2 or 3 of them. So you should always write it out on the AP test. If I give you one that has more, I'll let you do like, write the first one and then put dot, 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 and write the last one. Okay, so what does this mean? If. Now here's important. The mean is for everything all together, but the standard deviation is based on 1. So if 1 day of sales or 1 sales day is randomly selected, if 1 is randomly selected. The amount, or the number, I guess I should say, because that's what's in the prompt, and it's better if you regurgitate their prompts back to them, okay? The number of camcorders sold on that day will, here's an important word, typically. Now, we have done typically varies. To be honest, I kind of like the word differs better because why do you think, Jameson? Differs reminds me I'm doing what? Subtraction, different. So we'll typically, what does typically mean? Typically is a fancy word for on average. You can't say that one day is going to differ by this much because it doesn't differ by this much exactly. Because if it's normally distributed, it could differ by twice that much. Empirical rule means 58 or 3 times that much. Okay? We don't know that this is normally distributed. In fact, actually, I know it's not. Why? Because if you look at the graph way back up here, Mrs. Garrett, it's completely skewed to the right. So I can't apply empirical rule to this. Okay, so where am I? Well, typically, that's where I am. Will typically differ, I don't need the S, from the mean of 1.17 by 1.34 units, machines, camcorders. When I say units, I don't mean like generic units. I mean like this machine is a unit. So there's all these words that mean mean. Mean means mean, expected value means mean, average means mean, center can sometimes mean mean. Median can mean mean if you have a what? Symmetric, perfectly symmetric distribution. Okay. Yes.
When we say the mean, do we have to say 1.17 units or not have a unit?
Well, it's better if you would say that, like 1.17 machines or 1.17 units by 1.34 camcorders, but I knew that people were getting tired of writing anyway, so I didn't put that in. I mean, it's not terrible if you don't put it there. It's because we know what's going on here with this. If you don't put that last one in there, then it's bad. All right. So, what is your homework this evening? You have one page plus the C's. And the C's are on page 7, the one page is page 17. It is an actual FRQ from about 20 years ago. Read it carefully. You definitely should be able to do A. And if you remember what expected means, top times the bottom dance, if you read B carefully, you should be able to do that. And I'm going to put that page up. I just know that not everybody's done writing this down. All right, so you can put your keep your calculators out. You can put everything away, especially your phone. Is everybody done with this page? Here's your homework. Page 17 out of your packet in the C's in chapter 5. And if page 17 with the airplane is just giving you hardship and stress, then don't do it. Just wait until after tomorrow when I explain things better. Or when I explain things again. Okay. Some of you will be leaving for Mrs. Kramer's room. Some of you will be staying in here. Stephen is going to pass these out for me. Stephen and Hayden. There's going to be extra left from out. So go ahead and pass those out. And I'm going to randomly take popsicle sticks. All right, here we go. Hannah, Stephen, and Allison. You're a team. Ainsley, Maddie, and Natalie, you're a team. Will, Alexis, and Amelia, you're a team. If you want to go out in the hall, just keep 6 feet. Like, put your arms out, bomb or wings. Yes, you. Kelsey, Nick Volrath, and Nick Kronowski. Elena, Dominic, and Will Pollock. Kaden, Leah, and Joey Volodinsky. Jameson, Alexa, and Val. And Rourke, who wants Rourke? Kaden wants Rourke?
No, he was asking for it.
Somebody wants Rourke. Thank you. The Knicks want Rourke. So you guys are going to Connie Kramer's room with Kelsey. The Knicks, Kelsey, and Rourke. And who wants Mr. Dursick? Make him feel wanted, folks. Okay, thank you, Joey. Joey's group. Who wants to go to Miss Bruckner's room? Okay, you guys go to Miss Bruckner's room. The rest of you can be a group of 3 in here or out in the hallway, B6C. Okay, Rourke, you can get into that folder that says don't get into it until I tell you. And it's a gold sheet that says drive over or get pulled over. Yeah, okay, I'm bringing it. Okay, I will come. Oh, I can just. Oh. Thank you. Nick, I missed you. All right, Rourke, here you go. Did you get the right paper? Yep, that's it. And then you can just take pictures and email to me when you're done.
Hello.
Once you get the tree done, it's easy peasy. And I'm going to turn this off so we don't have to listen to them, because then you'll get the answers. Oh, Mrs. Garrett. Plus, they can hear us if I leave it on, so I will turn that off too. Should we spy on them?
Yeah.
There's Rourke. I'm just kidding. We're not going to spy on them. All right. And I'm going to stop the recording because